Hello and welcome, dear listeners on the web or listening to the audio version of this. This is the Spiritist Moment, and I am Kirsten DeMello here sharing with you some insights into the Spiritist teachings. Tonight we're going to talk about a topic that is very dear to our hearts, and I say this because it is something that we are very well acquainted with, whether we are living in Antarctica, whether we live in the South, living in the United States, anywhere across the globe. There's a four-letter word that is a common thread throughout all of us, and that is pain and suffering as well, which is not a four-letter word, but it is pain. Who doesn't experience it in this life? So if you do not experience any pain, wonderful. You can turn this tape off, press stop here, do not waste your time any longer. But chances are that you are afflicted in some way, whether it is something as simple as an argument with a boss, or it is something as grave as arguing with your dear loved one at home. We all experience pain. So in this chapter, chapter 5, Allan Kardec, as well as the spirit of St. Augustine, comes and talks to us about these particular issues. The first topic he talks about in specific is the issue of justice of our afflictions. What does that mean? Well, when we are experiencing pain, when others cause us pain, what is the first thing we feel? We feel ourselves to be a victim. But in Spiritism, we know that no victims exist. Joanna Jian just talks about this in the book Happy Life, that everything that happens to us, we deserve, good, bad, because we are in constant motion with the law of cause and effect and the law of action and reaction, always in constant motion. Whether it's paying back from before or it is the current afflictions we cause to ourselves in this life, truly calling to us to be more responsible for our thoughts, for our feelings that we have in everyday life, for sure. The second part of this chapter, they talk about the current causes of afflictions. This is very good. We need to reflect on this. When things happen to us, why they happen to us. Let's take a second look at that. We should really look and analyze and ask ourselves why things are happening to us in our lives. Did we cause it? Or is it one of those things in our lives where it is, for instance, the loss of a loved one? Obviously, we have no say-so when a loved one who we care about deeply passes away. These are something that Kardec referred to as the fatalities of life, things that happen. We each have our own reincarnatory plan, things that we have to endure and to help us along with our progress. But other things, perhaps, let's say, such as relationship issues we may have, we can perhaps perpetuate problems, making it worse for ourselves, so thereby we cause a large portion of our own suffering because of our imprudence, based upon what Kardec talks about in the Gospel According to Spiritism in this chapter 5, when he says that we are causing a lot of our own problems in layman's terms. If we stop to be more wise, if we stop to think about things before we do them, how they're going to hurt us and also how they're going to hurt other people, as well as prior causes of affliction as well. We know from past lives, things that have happened to us before, that also in this life we come to pay back as well. We know many stories of these cases of reincarnatory plans happening. For instance, in the book Action and Reaction, when the mentor Druso, also along with his son Silas, we know throughout the book, without giving all the information of the book, we know that they asked to come reincarnate again with this particular woman who in a previous life had been the wife of Druso, but Silas had intervened and had sort of encouraged negative actions in her, and she had subsequently killed herself. So after they all disincarnated, they realized the wrong that they had did. And in general terms, I recommend you go read the book, but in general terms, the plan was for all of them to come back, to reincarnate together, to repair and redress the issues. So we know that everything we do, there's repercussions, and there's reactions for everything that we do. So we have to think about everything that we do. So Spiritism calls deep within us a sense of responsibility for everything that we do in our lives. Another interesting factor that they discuss in this particular chapter is forgetfulness of the past. When Kardec says this is a blessing, because imagine had we been murderers in the past, coming to this life and having remembrance of that, we wouldn't be able to accomplish our goals in this life that we set forth, because we'd be ruminating about the things from our past. We wouldn't be able to get over it. And part of reincarnation is this forgetfulness. So we're able to move forward in our lives and being able to forget that. Also in this particular chapter, Kardec says that once we return to the spirit world, we have this remembrance. In the book Action and Reaction, going back to this book in chapter 5 or 6, and in both books, they talk about this forgetfulness. But a particular spirit came to Druso asking him why he wasn't remembering his past lives yet. He was disincarnated already. He should remembering. But not even all spirits that disincarnate remember all of what they've done before in the past, because they are not ready yet. In Spiritism, we say sometimes that too much light will blind you. So in accordance with our evolution, whether in the physical realm or past on the other side, we will remember when it is beneficial for us to remember all that we have done. Coming towards the end of this chapter, there's a section called Reasons for Resigning Ourselves. Why should I resign myself to accept the afflictions? Well, perhaps if you've caused the afflictions ourselves, we should definitely resign ourselves, because we're the ones who made ourselves suffer. So it's best to accept it and move on, to move forward. There is a really funny story Chico Xavier and Emmanuel. Chico shared with us that one day he was walking and an obsessor tripped him. And he was on his way to go do some type of spiritist work, something very valuable. But the obsessors wanted to take him out of that higher frequency, to distract him so they could better manipulate them as they had wanted to. But he was difficult to get to, so they thought, easy, quick, trip him. So immediately after he was tripped, Chico got angry and was about to go and say something that perhaps might not have been so nice as a reaction, but Emmanuel quickly intervened and said, "What are you doing, Chico? No, no, no. They want to take you out of this frequency. Bless them. Thank them." And so Chico turned and said, "Good, thank them." He resigned himself and went on his way. Sometimes when we don't accept the things that are happening to us, when we are pushing against, when we reject it, when we are being rebellious, we are also telling God that He doesn't know what He's doing. How dare He allow these suffering to happen to us, because we don't deserve it? Well, quite the contrary. We need to have faith. In this chapter, Kardec teaches us, and the good spirits teach us as well, about faith and resignation. And why faith? Why is it that faith with resignation helps us? Well, because if we have belief that God knows what He's doing, and faith that this will pass. This too shall pass in our lives, and it's just temporary. Both happiness in this world and the evil, quote unquote, is also transitory in passing. So these are just some of the thoughts in this chapter. We recommend that you go and read it yourselves, because we all need to, in some point in our lives, to be consoled, to better understand these afflictions that happen to us in our lives. And then one day, as we were discussing, and a mentor came to us and shared with us one way to best help us to understand these sufferings, the afflictions that we endure, is that imagine this. Imagine that amongst all the suffering that you're having, imagine at the end of the road, you are going to be so happy, you're going to be joyful. Imagine if I come to you and tell you, listen, for sure I could tell you with absolute certainty, you're going to be happy, you're going to be joyful, you're going to be without any issues. Would you be happy now if I told you later? The mentor shared with us. And we said, yeah, sure, absolutely. If you tell me now that later I'll be happy and things will be great, I'll be happy now, because I'll be anticipating knowing that at the end of the day, as I'm working on myself, I'll be happy, sure. So let's be happy today, knowing that tomorrow and in the future we will reach that goal. We need to have patience, resignation, and constantly be working on ourselves. Thank you today for listening, and do not forget to work every day on yourself, working diligently on your own inner transformations, finding your own happiness. I'm Kirsten DeMello, and this was a Spiritist Moment.